Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen, rolling through the offseason here as it's already May, everybody, just a couple of months out from everything really kicking into high gear. Less than a month away from OTAs. There'll be a small dead period late in June into July. And then after that, John, we'll be ramping up for the 2026 football season. How you doing this Thursday morning, my friend?
Yeah, that small dead period is list season. That's what we declined. Hey, already a list. I saw a list this morning. I saw a list.
What was the list? You'll have to entertain me on that.
I'm trying to pull up the list. It was the best defense from Fox Sports. So it's probably, I hesitate because it's probably one dude, but it was from Fox, and best defenses entering OTAs. And it is from one guy, Ben Arthur, whoever that is. No offense, Ben. So Houston Texans won. You can't have a problem with that. That is a great defense.
Yeah, no problem with that.
Seattle Seahawks #2. Really can't have a problem with that. Super Bowl champions, tremendous defense. Denver Broncos #3. Your Philadelphia Eagles are #4.
Pretty good.
I don't think that's disrespect.
No, that's not disrespect. I think that's inappropriate. Actually, I think that's pretty generous, but I think it's good. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I think they're top 5. The Rams were 5th, Patriots 6, Browns 7, Packers 8, Ravens 9, Panthers 10. Solid list. We'll start up list season.
There you go.
A little hat tip to Ben Arthur. It's not a bad list.
Boy, if you told me last night when I went to bed that when you wake up in the morning, I won't give John McMullen a list. John McMullen will read me a list within the first 120 seconds of our morning show. I'd say, are you outside your mind?
Well, I get up so early now because Tank gets up and I got to get up. So
you float around and you check out the list and everything.
Yeah. So I'm doom scrolling. I saw a list and I said, "Oh, here we go." And it wasn't bad, so I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I like that list. Anything you would change on that list, John, from a defensive perspective?
I think, the potential, there's potential down that, Packers, obviously, I think could go higher than 8. The Browns, Jim Schwartz isn't there anymore, so you don't know.
Yeah, right.
Panthers, I got to pay more attention to the Panthers. They've been such a nothing. That seems a little bit high.
You got to reach out to your buddy Mike K. Is he still covering?
Yeah, he is. No Flores on there. That kind of surprises me. But they lost Jonathan Grenard, so maybe that's realistic. But yeah, I don't have a problem by and large.
Yeah, I thought a good list overall. All right, Johnny Mac, good stuff. I like it. We're kicking it off early here in list season. Thank you to Ben who does it. Tough loss last night, John, for the Sixers. We'll get into some Eagle news as well.
Yeah, I want to avoid that too. They played the right way, though. At least it bothers me. Look, the Knicks are better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a better team right now. You're against the odds to win. Right.
They're a better team, and but they played the right way, and no Joel Embiid. That's part of it. So Maxey wasn't deferring for 10 minutes, and then the game's over. And they stuck in the game, and it was back and forth the entire game. 25 lead changes, I believe I saw, which is the most in an NBA game in a long time, an NBA playoff game. So it was exciting. They were in it. And they kind of fell apart down final 6 minutes or so. They couldn't score in the fourth quarter. Now, you got to give the Knicks some credit, but they have no bench. Guys are out there. Maxey's out there for 46, 47, whatever it was. I saw 46 in the box score. Other people are telling me 47. He's out there for that. Edge comes at 40. Paul George at his age, by the way, it's a shame. he is one hell of a basketball player, Paul George, and the Sixers got him late in his career, so I don't think people have seen it. Not only as an offensive player, but a defensive player.
I remember when he exploded into the league with Indiana, and he wasn't that big of a name early, and then he freaking really had a great couple years in Indiana.
Yeah, he's like a 4-time All NBA defender, and they got in foul trouble with Drummond, and then Bono played well, Barlow played well, so 2 guys off the bench played pretty well, and they needed to because they didn't have Embiid, the big men. But they can't even give Maxey a breather, and he just had no legs at the end of the game, and he's getting open looks, and they're not falling. So it's disappointing. They had a chance to steal the game, and then it becomes a series. And look, they don't have the horses at this stage to beat the Knicks, but at least they played the right way. So that's positive to me. But
yeah, play hard, play the right way. I think people can have some pride in that, or at least they should. I don't think anybody expected the Sixers to be here right now. So from that perspective, it is a win, John. Like you used to say, the only way to gauge success can't be win it all or bust, or else you're going to be pretty disappointed.
You're going to be pretty miserable constantly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're going to be pretty miserable. So that is what it is. Tough loss for the Sixers. I will say that series isn't done yet. Let's go back to Philly here and see if they can snag game 3 and then make it a contest. I don't know if Joel will be back. Do you know, John? Have you read anything about that? Will he be back? Or?
No idea. I mean, that's part of the problem. I mean, you can't count on the guy, and it's not. I don't want to pile on because he had surgery, whatever, 18, 19 days ago. So it's not. But the best ability is availability is a cliche for a reason, because if you can't count on somebody, and then, Nick Nurse talked about it earlier, it's like you get 6 hours notice and you got to play one way, and then you got to play another way. It's just really difficult. So it's weird. This is the description of what I used him. I got a close friend who's a big Knicks fan, and I tried to explain to Embiid, who was a legitimately great NBA player, like legendary NBA player, because of his skill. His skill and talent. And I said, this is how I described him. He is the worst all-time great NBA player. He's the worst because you can't count on him.
Oh, man. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The worst all-time great NBA
You can't count on him. I don't know another way to describe him.
Yeah, it's a good, fair.
I said, if that makes sense, because you can't from game to game, like you just said. Have you heard it? Yeah, nobody knows if he's playing on Friday. You might, and behind the scenes, they might say, yeah, he's going to give it a go, and they show up on Friday, and he can't go, and you got 6 hours to prepare.
Well, it's tough, Johnny Mac. I got to ask you, though, while we're on this topic, I want to introduce, our first look at Johnny freaking Logic. I got a question. For Johnny Logic right here. Somebody made this graphic, by the way. John sent it to me yesterday, and here I am. I'm like, we got to do something with this graphic. It's so freaking good. I know people want to hear more from McMullen, but John, from your perspective, you've always
By the way, who said that? Somebody says that in the chat. He deserves credit.
Yeah, it's purpose into passing. I don't know if that's who sent you it, but he's the one.
No, it's not.
He's the one who did dub that nickname at least a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if he's in here right now. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. John, you've always had an ability to be as objective as what seems like humanly possible in most instances, especially about sports and the things I talk to you about. How should Sixers fans feel about Joel Embiid? I've been playing with my cousin, and he's like, what do you mean you don't love Embiid? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you love him? He's like, well, he's so talented, and how you gonna hold the injuries all on him? He's a 7-foot dude, and he can't stay healthy. And I'm like, well, so it kind of just made me think, what's the real right way, in Johnny Mac's opinion, to
Well, I just kind of explained it. I think you can acknowledge that his skill and ability at his size is something arguably we've never seen before, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think you could say that and put it over here and go to the other side and say, but what I just said, can't count on him. Now, is that fair? Look, I always say you can't legislate injuries. It's, you can, everything's a bet, so to speak. So, when you have him coming in and at his size and already having lower body injuries, you're taking a chance, and it hasn't gone well from an injury perspective. And then there's the bad luck stuff. Like an appendix. I mean, that's not his fault. I think it's fair to say that. Some of the past playoffs with the colds and that kind of stuff, it's like, all right. I mean, Michael Jordan's legendary before the flu game. Well, he's legendary for much more.
Yeah, but that's one of them. Yeah.
I mean, there's, if you want to be talked about in the pantheon of players like Michael and Kobe and LeBron and Shaq and everybody, and locally Moses and Doc and Charles and Iverson, you got to be on the stinking floor. I mean, can we look at, to use an NFL comparison, can we look at Bo Jackson and say, wow, that guy was so gifted? Sure. And then do we say he's one of the best of all time? Well, no, because he had the hip thing and very short shelf life. You got to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You can't compare him to Emmitt Smith because he doesn't have the longevity. He doesn't have the ability to help his team be successful. And that's where you are with Joel Embiid. He just, they haven't gotten out of the second round. I mean, how can anybody say that's successful? You had the closest would be the great series they had against Toronto with the last second shot by Kawhi, but it's so, for me, it's pretty easy. And maybe that's the Johnny logic. It's like, well, yeah, the talent is all time pantheon special stuff. Is he an all-time special player? Well, no, because the best ability is availability.
Right.
And he hasn't been able to help his team reach the level that other true legendary superstars were able to reach. And that's even guys like guys who couldn't get over the top for long periods of time, like Karl Malone and Charles and John Stockton. I mean, but they're legendary players because, again, it's not all about just winning the championship. It's about consistent greatness. He hasn't played 6 straight games since 2023. The one time he won MVP, people had a lot of problems with that because of how many games he played that year, which was a extraordinary number for him, but compared to other people, it's not. So, I mean, I just describe it as all-time legendary skill for somebody at that size, and never lived up to what he could have been because of the health issues.
I think that's a pretty good way to break it down, Johnny Mac. Well done. That's Johnny Logic. I need to put this into an AI and animate it. So after Johnny Mac delivers some logic to us, I can flash it on the screen. Thank you, Johnny Logic. I love it. All right, good stuff, everybody. We're going to start off a little differently today after what I see going down in the chat. So we'll do that, and then we'll get into the updates from the Eagles. I also have some topics for later in the show that we will run down. We'll take comments from the great people of JAKIB Nation today. So big thanks to everybody for being here. John, yesterday I let you run after the show, and I forgot to get to a couple super chats. So I'm going to get to those now. You can see Suplex ripped me again because he's the one who sent some supers. He says, "Get the yesterday's super chats, you Drake May lookalike." I don't even know what that means. Now I look like Drake May. I mean, come on. A white guy with a comb over and you look like Drake May. That's what I guess where they go with it. Purpose in the Passing says, "Good morning, Kango, Krause, and Johnny Logic. I'm here.
There we
I'm
go.
here.
That's it.
Yeah, he says, "I'm here and I appreciate the shout out. I watch every day except for weekends. I need a weekend show. I'll do it." There you go. All right, and we got a big super chat here, Johnny Mac. Alexander Harris, thank you, brother. $100 super chat, early May. Look at that, my friend. Appreciate you, Alexander. He says this. "Good morning, guys. I know safety is a position of concern, but I think with this being Makuba's second year in the system, I really think he's going to shine this year. I also believe the defense is going to carry the team, given most of them have been in the same system for years now."
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that. I think it's been a few years now that whether people have realized it or not, the defense is the strength of the Philadelphia Eagles. But, because there's so many high-profile names on offense, I think everybody is way too hyper-focused on that. I think it's abundantly clear that the strength of this team is the defense, and they're trying to reclaim the offense. And that tells you all you need to know. I'm high on Makuba. I think he's a perfect skill set safety for Vic Fangio. He likes coverage safeties. He's got the slot safety versatility. He can play. He plays physically, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world, and that might hurt him. Big concern when it comes to durability, but I think he's a good fit and exactly the type of safety that Vic wants. So I think the sky's the limit there. The problem now is the other safety spot, which right now you're looking at Marcus Epps or Michael Carter, and obviously you draft Cole Wisniewski, but at 244 overall, I wouldn't exactly go into a season counting on Cole Wisniewski. So I do believe they'll add a better name at safety at some point. Might be before camp, might be in camp, might be the CJ Gardner-Johnson late, after you see the guys, after, you might go through August and say, well, let's see what Epsy can do. And let's see what Carter can do. And if he can play the position, then let's see what the kid can do. And then say it's not good enough and go make a trade at the roster deadline, which is what happened with CJ. So the first time. So could go a lot of ways, but I think they're going to ultimately add another safety. But I don't have a lot of questions about Drew Makuba other than can he hold up, because he plays. He's 185 pounds and he plays, and that's probably being generous, and he plays like he's 210. So sometimes that gets you in trouble. That was Avonte Maddox's issue for many years.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Johnny Mac, good breakdown there. It does feel like this is going to be another defensive football team. I think the excitement is building, though, John, on the offense and Sean Mannion. I don't know why, but people are starting to get confident about Sean. They're feeling good about the hiring of Sean. I like Sean. I liked when they hired him. I just felt like he looked to me like a guy who had a future in offensive coaching in the NFL. Will that bear out to be true? I have no idea. But Alexander, thank you for the huge super chat, brother. We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. Now I'm trying to pull up here the other super chats. Here they are. All right, John, I'm going to read them to you. I can't put them on the screen, obviously. They are from yesterday. So I'll try and let me see if I can screenshot them and bring them up here. Pull it up here. All right, there we go. I will pull them up. Suplex City dropped us some supers yesterday, and he wanted me to read them to you, and I let you run. So it was my mistake. I apologize about that. Here they are. I'll pull it up. All right, they're really small, but I can make them a little bigger. Suplex says, John, I'll start with the first one. Over the middle throws in question, I believe, are 10 to 20 yards. Jalen is so far down past every starter that may have ever played a full season. It's very odd.
Yeah, well, I think they haven't used the middle of the field to an almost ludicrous degree over the past 3-4 years. As usual, I think it's a combination of things. The one is, I think it's not the most comfortable thing for Jalen to do. So that's his part of it. And then the second part of it is because of that, I think the Eagles have kind of coached it out of him with this risk-averse philosophy. And that's what they believed in Nick Sirianni's ethos is, hey, if you win the turnover battle, if you win the explosive play battle, you're going to win. Numbers point that out, by the way, support them. And they have been very good when it comes to not turning the football over. And part of that is, not all of it, but part of it is they're very conservative. So, I mean,
do you think they're going to have to ease up on their tightness around the whole turnover thing?
Yeah, I think there's a
right?
better balance somewhere. But again, be careful what you wish for. That's a difficult balance to find.
It's a very difficult balance to find, but I don't think you can go through another year of just not having a competent, to any level, a competent passing offense. It just feels like it's got to change this year. It really does.
Well, and I think that's the belief of, when you have an historic offensive line, you can win that way. When you don't, you can't win that way, and you have to press things a little bit more. So, I think the belief is that it's unlikely that they're going to get back to the 2024 level of offensive line play, which was always going to be tough to do, even if guys were healthy. Now guys aren't healthy, so the projection is probably it's not going to be as good, and you have to adjust in other areas. And we'll see how it all looks, but it's hard to look. You mentioned Sean Mannion. Look, Sean Mannion might be great. He might not be great. None of us know. I mean, he's never done it before. Glass is half full. He's the next incarnation of Sean McVay, yada, yada, yada. Glass half empty, he's overwhelmed by it. Right. And the same thing here, but we've got a large sample size of Jalen Hurts as a player. And I don't can anybody, and I'll throw it out to everybody because I'm getting older, so sometimes I forget somebody. Can anybody point to a quarterback that drastically changed his style of play this deep in their career and remain successful as he's been for the first 5 years? Because I can't come up with one. I mean, if you're good, you're good. You're not changing your style. I guess, maybe the best is Donovan McNabb in a different era because, Donovan really had it in his mind. It was a different time, and people did hold it against you if you were doing. I don't think that's the case as much anymore. A little bit, but more pundits, than people inside the game. Maybe he's the closest I can come up with because he legitimately wanted to change into a pocket style passer and had some significant success.
Is Jalen as equipped as McNabb is to handle that or try that?
No.
McNabb had a pretty sick arm.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's more accurate than Donovan. Does he,
worm burner Donovan?
Yeah, Donovan, he had trouble with the easy stuff, which is always weird to me, I guess I don't really know because Jalen usually doesn't take the easy stuff. He usually tries to extend the play and either take off or
he's got to do more of that this year, don't you think? Take the easy stuff. That's an easy way. I mean, because you talked about the volume thing. Like, I think we've fallen in love with this word efficiency, John, in the passing game. And I don't think it really means all that much because when they needed to do it, they weren't able to do it. So I was saying yesterday, it needs to be more effective. If you have 25 to 30 throws a game and you keep it at that number, well, in theory, how do you improve the passing game? Well, they need to be more effective. And I think one of the ways to do that is getting the ball in the hands of the playmakers and stop trying to have every single pass be a 20, 30-yard go route, that breaks the defense's back. I think the falling in love with the big play sometimes is maybe counterproductive.
Well, that's the whole point of what they're doing. They're trying to get the ball out of his hand quickly and make things easier and give him some layups and that kind of stuff, which is stuff he's not been, doing. Can he, is the back foot going to hit the ground? Is the ball going to come out quickly? To have guys who can separate your three top receivers. Their whole game is based on how they separate early in routes. Even Wicks, that's his whole game. And Lemon at the college level, and obviously Devontae. But the ball's got to come out. Is that the strength of the quarter? Well, it hasn't been. Can it be? Yeah, sure, anything's possible. But I don't see a lot of examples of it. Guys have a style of play, and you generally build on the style of play. Think about the. I don't know if there's any golfers out there, if there's any free throw shooters. Muscle memory is a big thing, and it's like to break that and then just rebuild it. In the middle of a career, which, by the way, has been tremendously successful, doesn't happen very often. I'll tell you that.
Very true. Here's a second super chat from Suplex. John, do you remember if Kraft was in Howie's sights in 2023? South Dakota State, which is where Goddard went, picked 78. Howie ended up taking Steen at 65 and then Brown at 66 that year.
I've never heard Tucker Kraft mentioned at all in regards to the Eagles. So, but sometimes when we have these discussions, if it's not like in the purview, like the Eagles really liked, and it didn't work out, but really liked Sidney Brown. And obviously he was picking second. Tyler Steen was ahead of him. So, obviously they had an opportunity since he went after those guys. So the short answer is obviously no, but they were really high on both those players at the time. So, and Tyler, I think, is underrated. I think he had a really good first year as a starter. And Sidney, I think, got people forget the ACL. He was really coming on as a rookie, and he tore his ACL in week 18. And that kind of ruined his whole second season. And he got caught up in the change to Vic Fangio, who didn't sort of like his style of safety, which is more of a box guy who's going to go downhill. But if you think about his rookie season, he was playing in the slot. Now, they had so many injuries. They needed him to. He was doing a lot of things for them, and there was a lot of positive to it. He had the 99-yard touchdown in week 17, which showed up his athleticism, and then he tore his ACL. And I think he just wasn't a fit for Vic. And we'll see if he can reclaim his career in Atlanta. But so I would say no. And remember, they weren't running this scheme, so they weren't intent on getting, a different style of tight end either. Plus, Goddard was at the strength of it, at the height of his career, and he's a big time player. So I don't think there was much interest at that time. Not that they didn't think he was a good player, just that.
Yeah, right. Weren't looking for him at that time. All right, a couple more from yesterday. Jerry said this yesterday. Jerry Armitage, thank you, brother. I get what you're saying, J-Mac, but we've seen last year what happened when they took away the running game and the defense has an off day. We lost to a team with practice squad players. It has to change. I guess he's referring to the way you spoke about them and the way they won last year with the run game and abandoning it.
Well, yeah, I've always said it's a when you
More
play
margin.
like that, the margin of error decreases, and you need to play well in other aspects to take advantage of it. But I do think, if you want to compare 2024 and 2025, I think that the biggest, and there's a bunch of stuff, and it's all worth talking about, but the biggest one was the lack of health of the offensive line. So I often say, now they won 11 games. They should have won the playoff game. They didn't. So, but you're right. They lost to a team they should have beat. So, anybody could say if Lane's there, if Landon's healthy, if Cam's healthy, really, does anybody think they're not winning 13, 14 games and beating that 49ers team? I mean, that's where I have the biggest disconnect with the Eagles' thought process. And they're saying, well, this is the problem. This is the problem. I'm like, no, this is the problem. This is the problem. Now, maybe they know that and say, yeah, but we can't fix that. We can't just create a Hall of Fame right tackle.
Right.
You just can't create a Pro Bowl level left guard who dominates, and we just can't recreate a Pro Bowl level center, which is true. If you have to play Drew Kendall and Fred Johnson and whomever, because you don't even have Brett Toth at left guard to play, Micah Morris or anybody else, you're not going to be as good. And guess what? You're not going to be as good with Sean Mannion as the offensive coordinator or any other name you would have hired. You're not going to be as good. Which is the whole Jimmy's and Joe's over X's and O's thing that everybody will try to shove down your throat and everybody will not listen to because they don't want to blame the players.
All right, good one there. Speaking of it, as you just say that, John, one of the other super chats from yesterday, the last one from yesterday, was Brandon Williams. He said, forget O-line struggles. Eagles would have won 13 games last season if they had an average kicker. I agree. They shouldn't have changed the offense.
Yeah, kicker was a problem as well.
That's probably my biggest gripe this year is that they're going year 3 with the bottom of the league kicker. Like if it was 1 year for Jake, I would say, all right, I get it. He's earned the right to give another go. 2 years, John, he's been like bottom of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been good. That's fair to say.
I just don't get why they're sticking with him.
I would have
$46 million.
They're sticking with him. They're sticking with him because of his contract.
I know, but my point, they're taking a $46 million cap on AJ. Oh yeah, who cares? Well, we got Mekhi Lemon, and they won't take a $5 million hit on Jake Elliott. Guy's good for 7 to 10 points a game. Cut the bait and get a kicker.
Sometimes the business side doesn't align with the football side. I say it all the time. Why I agree with you. I'm not hard. I agree. I would have brought in competition at the bare minimum. At the bare minimum, I would have brought in competition and said, at least make him earn the job. Now, they did bring in a tryout kicker at rookie camp, Reese Bearhoff, but they haven't signed him yet. That doesn't mean they can't sign him. But yeah, I would have somebody next to him every day in training camp saying, look, and he was North Carolina's kicker last year, Reese Bearhoff. So who knows? Maybe they'll wake up and bring him in. But they haven't done it yet. And right now he's the only kicker. So the presumption is, and they've said it, Howie has said it and verbally that he's going to be the kicker. So, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think there should be competition for that job. If he wins it, great. But I think you need an insurance policy. And the Eagles would say, well, he's competing against from, you can bring in a kicker that week and make a change. And they might do that. If he struggles the first 2 games, They might just bring in a kicker off the street.
Yeah, right.
What happened with Jake Elliott?
Yeah, I didn't. Who did that last year? Or the Rams, right? They did that thing in like week 16 or something. They made
a
a
thicker
late
kicker.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean that it's easy to replace kickers or punters because, I mean, it's not a lot of chemistry there. Yeah, there's some with
and teams are only keeping one of them around. You know, there's only 30.
No, yeah.
So there's not like.
But I think there's something to have, kick with somebody during camp. And now the Eagles have said, dating back to the days of Dave Phipp, we would ask him those questions, and he would say, "Well, they're still competing. We're watching everybody else, and if they're not up to speed, you can bring in somebody." And say, all right, that's what they did with Braden Mann and Aaron Cepas. A lot of people after the Super Bowl debacle are saying, get rid of Aaron Cepas. Well, they kept him around for the first couple games. He wasn't doing well, and they brought in Braden Mann.
Yeah, and here we are. So what do you get, a 4-year, $14 million deal this summer? Yeah.
In 2017, because it's a long time ago, Caleb Sturgis was the kicker. And they signed Jake off the Cincinnati practice squad. And he kicked so well early that they kept him, and he's still here. So you can make that change pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's fair. So keep an eye on it, in other words. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. A couple more supers this morning. Suplex says, thank you, Big Z. Gotcha, Suplex. Thank you, brother, for the support of the channel. Josh B says this. Off topic and a little early. We're all over the place this morning, which is a good start to the show. We have a little super chat start. We'll get into the Eagle news.
The off season, a lot of tangents.
Yeah, a lot of tangents. Josh B says, off topic and a little early, but what do you think about what do you think Clinton Hurt would be a good DC after Vic?
Well, he's done it before, and I think, if you look at what would happen is if you want to go the heir apparent route, he would be the next guy, definitely. But I do think, you don't just say immediately that you're gonna promote from within. Obviously, offensively, people will tell you that hasn't worked. Maybe that impacts their decision making. But yeah, I think he could do it, certainly. And I think coaching under Vic for this number of years has only helped him. And the Eagles obviously like him. They keep giving him additional titles. So, and he was down at coaching at one of the All-Star games. So, as the head coach. So,
what was that for? The Senior Bowl he did that? Was that for the Senior Bowl? No, what was that for?
I forget which one it was.
It was Mannion's the one who did the Senior Bowl. I think he was the OC for the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he was it might have been the East-West Shrine, but he did one of them. I'll look it up at some point. But, just this year he was promoted. So when he got here, he had been to DC and Seattle. And he was the defensive line coach and senior defensive assistant. Now he's the associate head coach, defensive line coach, and senior defensive assistant. So obviously they like him a lot. They put up a clip of him talking about Uar Bernard on, I guess, their YouTube channel. Yeah, he's and people who don't know him are always shocked when they see how big he is. He's the widest dude on the planet.
He's a big dude, yep.
I remember Jordan Davis describing. That's how Jordan Davis described him. He's wide as fuck. That's how he described him. And Jordan Davis is a big dude.
Yeah, right. If Jordan Davis is saying that, then you're a big dude.
Yeah. So, but as far as hey, what's the talent level? And then I'll tell you how good he'll be as a defensive coordinator. Right now, they have a ton of talent, so it would be a good spot, I would say, for Clint.
Yeah, Josh B, I like Clint Hurt. I did see that clip they put up of him vouching for what do they call that? The passion meeting, John? Or something? Yeah, where he was vouching for Uar Bernard for the 7th-round picks, and they ended up getting them for him. So that was a pretty cool clip. If you didn't
see
see
the Senior Bowl, but he was the coach. He was the head coach of the national team in the Senior Bowl.
Okay, so it was the Senior Bowl. Is that the same one that Mannion did, or did Mannion do the Shrine Bowl?
I think Mannion did the Shrine Bowl.
Okay, because I know he was the OC at one of them. So, Josh B., thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. I like Clint Hurtt, too. Miami guy, Cillios knows him pretty well, too. Kyle Studer says this. What's up, Kyle? Thanks, everybody, for all the super chats. We appreciate all you guys. Greg Cosell said with Stowers, he sees a Drake London skill set. I hope he can develop as a blocker. Good pull on McNair came to my mind.
Yeah, a lot, quite a few teams I was told were looking at Stowers as a receiver, evaluating him as a potential receiver, and obviously, Drake London's a bigger receiver. It's a lofty comparison. That's a very good player, but I get it from a skill standpoint. And I think a lot of people with Eli don't realize, he was a quarterback 3 years ago. So, he's very new to the position.
Just doesn't look like he has the frame, though, to be a good blocker in the NFL. No knock on him, but the NFL's a lot of big dude. You're talking about blocking edge rushers. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. You saw him in person.
That's the positive. He does have the frame. Like, he's got the frame to add weight. To me, the question is, and that's why I have to make the decision early, because he's 6'4"-ish. And like, if you want him to be Drake London, you're telling him to lose 10 pounds. And if you want him to be a tight end, you're saying gain 10. So you gotta make that decision. You can't be Jacksonville with Travis Hunter and say, we're gonna play here. You got to make that decision and commit to it. And I think the Eagles will and have, and he's going to be a tight end. He does seem willing, and I think that's half the battle. He's not afraid, to put his face mask in there and try to block. And remember, you don't need to be. I always use Mark Barbaro because he's probably the best blocking tight end I've ever seen. That was at least really good overall, as a good receiving tight end as well. You don't have to be like an extra offensive lineman. You just as they say in the league, lose slowly. That's what you have to do. And I think he can do that, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time because he's got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. He's got to pick up the technique. He hasn't been doing it for a long time, but he's athletically gifted enough to do it, and he seems willing to do it, and I think that's half the battle. And by willing, I'm not talking about verbalizing, because I asked him about that when he talked to us. I'm talking about the film. He looks willing to do it.
We'll see if he can. Yeah. So you say he's got the frame. Maybe I misspoke. He doesn't. He doesn't look like he has the size. Like when he was up there, I remember being like,
he's definitely not. Right now he's 230. They list him at 239.
And 6'4", you're right. That is a pretty good frame, though. But I just don't know. Will he fill it out? Will he try and go that route? I don't know.
And that's what one of the things about Nando, the Eagles' strength and conditioning coach. The people don't think about those guys. That's his job. He's got to get him on an NFL strength program, get him bigger, get him stronger. A lot of offensive linemen go through that as well because. They get to the NFL, and whether you want to call it old man strength, they get up against the Dexter Lawrences of the world. And, I always remember, I'll never forget Kelsey talking about Linval Joseph before, not when he was here, when he was with the Giants. And he was regarded as maybe the strongest player in the NFL. Like, you couldn't move that guy in his prime. And they're just a different level. That's probably Vita Vea right now. You just can't move that guy. Can't do it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Can't move that dude. All right, good stuff, everybody. A lot of great super chats. Alexander Harris, thank you, man, for the big super chat again. We appreciate that, brother. Always been a big supporter here on JAKIB Sports, and we appreciate all of you guys for checking in. The Flyers, I think, play tonight. Is that right? I believe the Flyers play
Yeah,
tonight.
I think it's Flyers, Sixers, Flyers, Sixers. It's like
That's good.
4.
They got to be different days. That was miserable
Well, they're
here.
playing at home. They have to be different days. Well, they
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
have. I
that's
guess
right.
one could play at 1 and one could. They could do that, but
That's right. I forgot about that. They were both in the same damn building, for crying out loud.
yeah.
All right. Good stuff, everybody. Appreciate all of you guys for doing it. A lot of good super chats today. Suplex, thanks for the reminder to get to the ones from yesterday. Johnny Logic delivering the goods this morning here on the opening segment, per usual. Good stuff. J Mac. All right, John, going into the Eagle news. Yesterday, they made some front office moves. Again, I know people get bored by this sometimes, but I do like to
Well, if they're
everybody's
listening, they knew a lot of this.
Yeah, they knew that. That's correct. They knew a lot of this. You told them to look out for this, and it basically happened just like you said it would, John. What is the latest? I saw a promotion for Adam Berry, brother of Andrew Berry, who's the Cleveland Browns GM, formerly with the Eagles. So Adam gets a promotion, and they made a couple other changes in that front office. John, tell us about it.
Well, I think the two biggest ones are Adam Berry moving to assistant GM to replace Alec Hallaby. As you mentioned, twin brother of Andrew. Eagles got him from Goldman Sachs 4 years ago, and he's already the assistant general manager. So he's on the fast track. The other notable one is Joe Douglas, to me, going back to leading the personnel department. And when he was here the first time, he was the vice president of player personnel. The Eagles didn't give out assistant GM titles at that time. So he was in charge of the personnel department, helped build the 2017 Super Bowl team. That got him the job with the Jets. And he came back after things went sour with the Jets, and he came back last year as the senior personnel director and advisor to the GM. Howie likes to bring in these former GMs. Dave Caldwell is now down in Florida, Matt Russell, Joe Douglas. And now Joe's back as senior vice president of player personnel. So he's back on charge at top of the personnel department. Phil By is a guy I talked about, South Jersey guy, who got promoted to vice president of player personnel. Alan Wolking, another guy I talked about, had been the vice president of player personnel. Now he's the VP of football operations and strategic initiatives. So his job is expanding. He goes up a level. And Phil takes his place. That's sort of what happened there. And then Jeremy Gray goes up a level to take Phil By's old spot, and he's the director of player personnel. So you get to that level. And then they did bring in, because they lost Dave Caldwell, and Howie was a big part of that because he sort of helped get him to Florida.
Right.
Mike McCagnon, another former Jets GM, was brought in again to get that overriding sort of just experience to help. And he's brought into the scouting department as well.
I really like how they tap into so many different avenues of people with different knowledge. I don't know if they use it all to the level that I think they might, but I do appreciate the way that they bring together, as many people as they do in that front office.
Well, it's worked, so they keep, repopulating it and redoing it. And to get Mike in, who's, a long time scout in, personnel guys. So it's not going to hurt, I'll tell you that. And then, I was told Grant Ryder, who's, not going to be familiar, but he's going to be one of the key guys when it comes to Bryce Johnston's old job, at least helping out in that as far as the cap and contract negotiations and things like that. I'm sure Anna Berry's going to be very involved in that aspect as well. So those, I would say, are the major ones. Quite a few lower level promotions as well. But as you said, people get bored by that. So, but the big ones I would say are definitely Adam Berry and Joe Douglas, Mike McCagnon. And then for the people who did listen, as predicted, Alan Wolking, great dude, by the way, Phil Baya, Princeton guy, I believe. Big time promotions in the personnel department.
Yeah, good stuff there. Interesting. John, you see you got the tale of two Eagle fans, right? Morty, what's up, Morty? Way too much time on the nerds. And then you get Rasputin. Without the nerds, there is no roster. There you go. The tale of two fans right there.
Yeah. Hey, look, this is the show where we try to elevate the conversation.
Yeah,
we don't try to dumb it down. You got plenty of places to go to get dumbed down stuff.
Do you like the additions that they made to the front office? I guess it's hard to tell, but
well, I love Joe. I mean, Joe's great. So I mean, but he was here, but now he's taken on a more structured role at the top of the personnel department. You know, he's just getting his foot back, and you can't really just throw him in there and say, "Hey, he's back in charge." So you know, he was helping out the coaching staff. He was doing a bunch of different roles last season. So to have him back on the scouting side full time, I think is only going to help. Adam Berry, it doesn't surprise me at all that he was next in line. He's probably going to be a future GM in this league, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Didn't know they bring in Mike McCagnon, but I knew they bring in somebody who was a former GM because that's what they've been doing. And he's a New Jersey guy, so it makes some sense. So yeah, I mean, you know, Howie knows he's an employment agency, so you know he's working ahead of the game when it comes to repopulating and promoting guys, and that's why it was, you know, easy to project that guys like Allen and Phil were going to get promoted, because that's how he does it.
Reminds me of the Dan Com and Vic made were like the farm system for the rest of the league. It's starting to feel like that's the Eagles front office.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. I'm just surprised more guys haven't gotten actual. I think people are hyper focused on GM jobs and not the lower level. But those are where GMs come from. And sometimes you got to leave to get it. Like Ian Cunningham had to leave because some people give Howie all the credit. So, you know, when guys like Ian Cunningham and Brandon Brown left, it was like, well, we got to go somewhere else to prove that we can do it. And then Ian, all of a sudden, a couple of years later, he's a GM. So that's part of it as well. And that's why they started giving out the assistant GM job to keep some guys, which they were able to do for a few years. But and you know, I think they're going to be good on the executive side because it's already set up. They've already come up with this sort of plan of how they run contracts and contract negotiations. So I don't worry about that. Evaluation changes a little bit with people, you know, but that's obviously an inexact science. You know, somebody mentioned Cosell. He said, I saw him in a clip talking about Stribling, you know, who got picked way earlier than most sort of draft Twitter would have expected. And the Eagles liked him a lot, by the way. So Deshaun Stribling, I'm trying to look, he got picked 33rd overall. Yeah, so the first pick in the second round. Yeah. And a lot of people ripped the 49ers for taking him. And I like what Greg said, which was basically, look, they're not wrong. They just had a different evaluation of the play. You can't see anybody's right or anybody's wrong right now. So I like that definition. Like, how could you say somebody's wrong?
Yeah, I mean, these guys haven't even played a game yet.
So I like this description. They just had a different.
Well, John, it's like what you always say. That's the hive mind. The consensus
Oh,
comes
yeah.
out,
Oh,
and then boom, that's the source of truth, and that's
Yeah.
it. Even though you have so much evidence of players, who get drafted in later rounds, who dominate in the NFL, there's never a direct science to it, and we will see what they end up doing there. Interesting front office changes. Adam Berry, boy, big promotion for him. He's rising up the ranks fast. I would bet he'll be a GM like his brother within a couple of years, maybe maybe next year. Who knows?
You get 2 compensatory picks if you hire a minority to be the lead football decision maker, as long as they've been employed at their previous spot for 2 years. So Adams already reached that crux. So you get the extra. If you do want to hire him to be the GM, you're also going to get 2 extra third-round picks.
Wow.
Which I'm surprised more teams haven't taken advantage of, to be honest. But, I think it's probably more important to get the right person in most teams' minds. But there's an added perk. So I do think, but I also thought Alec would be a GM by this point, and he hasn't been. So you never know. But more high profile because of his brother as well.
Yeah, right. That'll help. I mean,
Yeah,
Alec
that'll
Calvi, I don't like to put it on this, but I think it does play a part. Guy just doesn't look like an NFL GM. I don't know what it is. To the guy in the comments, stop talking about the nerds. And he's got the analytical background, and people think he's a nerd. I mean, you probably don't want those people hiring you. So, if Alec's out there listening, sometimes if that's the way people think, you probably don't. No, Alec did a damn good job here, so he deserves a lot of credit. But
yeah, I mean, he gets it. He's really good at film. He's really good at evaluating players, and he's been taught that from really smart people. So, but that original first impression, he's the analytics guy. I mean, I've watched film with him. He knows a hell of a lot more than analytics. Fucking taught me a bunch of shit. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, smart dude, but we will see what he does. He didn't announce what he's doing yet, right?
No.
Yeah, he just left. So we'll see what he does. I'm sure he'll do something that's pretty good, just like Jake Rosenberg did, who left and went on and has his own business now, doing well. So Godspeed to you, Alec Calvi. Good stuff on the front office changes, and Adam Berry gets the big promotion, and John listed out a bunch of the other ones as well. So good stuff there. I want to use for our next segment, John, I want to use Alexander Harris's big-ass super chat. Alexander Harris, thank you. And I want to go defensive. Yesterday you said, yeah, we're going to have to sneak in defensive talk here on Birds 365. So I am going to do a defensive segment today. And you started it off today, John, with a list. If you guys missed the first 3 minutes of the show, you might want to go listen to it. All right. Not what I expected to start with today, but that was pretty good. So I'm looking at the defensive, not an overhaul at all, but I'm looking at the defensive roster, John, and it really does feel like this is going to be the heart of the football team for probably the third straight year here. You've talked about the addition of Jonathan Grenard, how important that's been, and how big that is, and how it might look now. Everything is fallen into place is the word you use. And I look at that secondary. I understand people are concerned about safety, but it's hard for me to get real concerned, John, about secondary when I look at what they've done with Cooper and Quinion, who are obviously returning fresh off an all-pro season. I'm expecting those two guys continue to get better. It's going to be hard to do that at some point. It's going to be a diminishing return because of how good they are. But I think they're going to keep getting better. And then you add Tariq Woolen, who I think is a pretty worthy, good player at cornerback too, and is certainly an upgrade over what they had last year at Adoree Jackson, who turned out to be pretty good later in the year. I think.
By the way, George Jackson was trying out for the Cowboys.
The Cowboys, yep. Yeah. So I look at this defense overall, John, and I think it's a really strong unit. I think if you're nitpicking, you can go to that safety, but I don't think they got many holes on that defense, man. I think that secondary and those cornerbacks are going to help those safeties and vice versa. They got good linebackers, athletic linebackers in front of them. It feels like the group has almost all come together as a lot of Vic Fangio style players, and I think that's a very positive thing. And the sky's the limit for this defense this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be better than last season's defense. Not sure about 2024 because that was number one, and
that's a high bar to reach.
Yeah, they had a historic Super Bowl performance, so that's a tough bar. But I do think it'll be better than last year's group, which was pretty damn good. And look, you can't have a star at every position, but it's cover and rush and cover. If you struggle, and I do think they struggled at times with the pass rush because they didn't have the big time centerpiece, and Jaylen Carter wasn't healthy. But they had a great coverage year, especially with Quinyon and Cooper. So I think the coverage helping the rush last year a little bit more, and I think this year it'll be the opposite. I think it'll be the rush. I think the rush on paper, if Jaylen Carter's healthy, the rush on paper is going to be insane. With Grenard, Carter, Ajomo, and either Nolan Smith or Jalen Hunt. I mean, that's going to be lights out. Now, got to wait and see, but all indications are Jalen Carter's much healthier. He's lifting weights, so he's healthier than he was. And if he gets back to that game wrecker inside, that's going to do a lot for Jonathan Grenard, and Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith. But Grenard's the kind of guy who can turn it into production. And I think it's going to, not that Quinyon needs help, but I think it's going to help him. I think it's going to help Tariq Woolen. I think it's going to help Cooper and the safeties, more importantly. And that's why you can, look, if the Eagles showed up today and, all right, Marcus Epps is starting at safety, you still feel pretty good about that defense.
I mean, feel really good about it.
So, and you have Vic as well, who's going to take advantage of everything. So, I mean, it's hard to me. It's hard to look at that defense and say it's going to be even mediocre. What's the floor of that defense? Top 10? The floor, the absolute worst.
Well, I guess the stats can sometimes be skewed. Like last year, they were a top 10 defense. They didn't show up to be a top 10 defense if you looked at the stats and the numbers, but they were definitely a top 10 defense. At least I thought they were.
Well, I'm talking more of top 10 efficiency than top 10 in just yardage, because that can be skewed.
When your offense leads the league in 3 and outs, your defense is going to give up a little more yards than the rest of the teams.
Yeah, so I mean, everything can affect that, and that's why you look at whether you like EPA, whether you like PFF numbers, and who knows if PFF's even going to be a thing this year, because they got sold. But I can look at last year where they ended up. Let's see last year where they ended up. Defense. So they were 10th on defense last year, from a PF from PFF, which seems about right. But remember, they also they factor in when you make the playoffs. They factor in the playoff game. They didn't play as well, so they're probably. And I could look it up, but I don't feel like they're probably 8th or 9th in defense, really. if you're just looking at the regular season. And then the EPA, it's, it depends. The problem I have with EPA is that different outlets have different numbers.
Yeah,
So
right. There's no real source of truth. It's really just subjective in a way.
Yeah. So I'm not as big on that, but the one I use is Summer Sports, and if from that they were 8th. So right. So 8 to 10 in PFF if you're looking at the film, 8th in EPA. So pretty darn good defense. Houston, by the way, is number 1 and should have been. Seattle was number 2, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Cleveland, Chargers, Broncos, then Eagles. So we started with that list, a lot of similar teams. But on paper, I think the Eagles have gotten better.
No doubt. All right, John, big question here on the defense, and it has to do with one player and a big player at that, maybe the most important player on that unit, and that's none other than Jaylen Carter. Now, my question for you on this, and you can completely shoot it down, John. You can hit me with there's a less than 1% chance of that happening, but it's hard for me to not look at the trend a little bit here of the way the Eagles have managed this. And he was floated in some trade rumors last year for Micah Parsons. Now, I understand that's Micah Parsons, who is, a very highly coveted player, but that was fresh off of a really good season for Jaylen Carter. That was before this season or this past season, which was a down year for Jaylen Carter. So they were ready to put him in a deal fresh off of an all-pro season for him where he dominated all through the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. I thought that was interesting and worth noting. And now I look at the way the team is built and where it's potentially heading. You brought up a topic earlier this summer, and it was, well, do you want Jaylen Carter or Jordan Davis at $70 million, let's call it? Or do you want Jordan Davis, a Jomo, and a couple first-round draft picks or a couple assets in return to maybe build out the rest of the roster when things get too expensive? Now, I don't think they're going to trade Jaylen Carter. I really don't, and I'm not vouching for that. I'm just trying to get a gauge on how potentially likely that is. So, John, you can say it's 95.5. You could say it's 99.9 to 0.1. You could say 50-50. I don't know what you're going to say. But I did think some of those things were interesting for a player that you would think would be as coveted as the front office. Is his future in Philadelphia as guaranteed as many think it is, John?
Well, I think it's, when you talk about the trade stuff, I think, would they trade him? It's funny. Somebody was asking me about a business story. And I said, well, the adage in the business world is every company's for sale, which means basically, if the right offer comes around, yeah. Same thing. You mentioned, Micah. Yeah, they trade him for Micah. They trade him for Myles Garrett. Anybody else? Probably
2
not.
first-round picks?
Probably not. But again, he's coming off a down year. Now, I don't know if this is true, by the way. I laughed out loud. I literally laughed out loud. But there's an account. It's one of these aggregation accounts that shall not be named. So I should check with Spot Rack, but the projected market value for Jaylen Carter, 4 years, $64.4 million.
No way.
That can't be. That can't be true, can it?
Oh, I gotta go check Spot Rack, because if that's true, then I gotta tweet to the Spot Rack guy today. Yo, dude, you gotta update your algo here. I don't know what's going on.
Because the same, we went through this with Jalen Phillips, and it was just
they were damn near half off for Jalen Phillips. Yeah, Jaylen Carter's market value right now on Spot Rack is an average annual salary of $16.1 million. 4 years, $64.3 million.
Well, yeah, if they could get that deal, it'd be done, to say the least. It's kind of amusing.
It's going to be more than double that.
Yeah, it's going to be more than, and that's the issue when you talk about how high do you go. Um, and you would, I think the Eagles would be right to wait and see. Now that creates other issues, obviously. What if he plays well? Then you're paying more. Um, so it's a gamble on both sides. Um, my and I don't know, but my presumption is the Eagles are trying to say, well, last year wasn't great, so let's get him at, hey, how about 30 million a year? And Drew Rosenhaus is probably saying, yeah, screw that. The guy's playing. You guys beat the shit out of him, and the guy's playing through injury. And
That's why I think Drew hasn't posted up those videos. I don't think it's for the Eagles, John. I think it's for the rest of the league.
yeah, so it's a more difficult negotiation than people realize. But yeah, he's going to get more than 16.1 million a year. Spot right. Stop doing that. If you're going to do that, stop it.
See, I like the guy who runs it. I forget his name, but he's on X. He seems like a genuinely pretty smart dude. Like, there's no way he made this. This must be computer generated.
Yeah, it's Michael Giannitti. Yeah, I mean, stop doing it.
16.
Or change the algorithm. I don't know.
16 million. Jordan Davis made a lot more than that.
Yeah. Well, we were all off on Jordan Davis.
Yeah, we were.
I mean, a lot of us were using the Baltimore.
Believe it or not, the only person who wasn't off on Jordan Davis was Cilio. He told me, he's like, dude, he's not getting $15 million. Are you crazy? He's getting 20 plus, and he was right.
Yeah, well, I how do you come to that conclusion? Like that was
that contracts always go up, and sometimes they go up more than people expect.
Well, but the assumption is that everybody's a 3-down player. He hasn't been a 3-down player, and they paid him like a 3-down player. So that's where people got Jordan Davis wrong. They paid him like a 3-down player. He's never been a 3-down player.
Yeah.
And that we were all looking at the.
That's what they're doing with Jalen Hurts too, isn't it? They're treating him like a West Coast quarterback. He's never been a West Coast quarterback.
Well, yeah. So and by the way, ironically, in the short term, Jordan Davis still isn't going to be a 3-down player. Now he's going to have to be once Morrow leaves, unless they draft somebody else who can play. But for 2026, what year are we in? Yeah, 2026, he's not even going to be a 3rd down. Morrow's going to be on the field, and Jaylen Carter is going to be on the field.
Forget the Eagles for a second. Would John McMullen, a.k.a. Johnny Logic, take the 2 first-round picks, pay a Jomo, and build out the rest of your football team as contracts are going to explode on the defensive side of the ball, and you might need some rookie talent on the offensive side? Would Johnny Mack make the trade?
Well, I don't think you're getting 2 first-round picks, number one, but would I make the trade for 2 first-round picks? Yes. Especially if it's a bad team.
Right. Some good first rounders.
Yeah, I would. Because I think
the only thing that's complicated this for me is that I think Ajomo is really a good player and is ascending quick. Like if Ajomo was just if Ajomo was a certified backup though, I'd be like, yeah, no.
Well, I think he's a really good pass rusher, Martin Jones, like one of the best top 10 already. I'm going to say top 10 pass rusher from the.
Boy, how's that for a 7th-round pick, everybody?
In the NFL, I don't think he's a 1st or 2nd down player. But my mentality is, and he played more than Jordan Davis last year, because you're in more passing situations. Still, even though the modern NFL shifted a little bit to more 12 personnel, it's still more passing oriented. So my thought process, it's not an insult to Jaylen Carter, although I know people will take it as that. My thought process is it's easier to find the guy who can play first and second down it is to find the pass rusher, the top 10 pass rusher. That's my mentality. Now, Jaylen Carter's in the top 10 too as a pass rusher, and he's a better all-around player. But my point is you're losing one. So if I lose and I don't have to pay him $40 million and I'm getting 2 first-round picks,
right?
Potentially 2. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot of return for, let's call a spade, not that huge of a drop-off.
I think it's a significant drop-off, but
obviously, but yeah. I mean, is it 2 first-round picks and $14 million of contract savings big? I don't know about that.
Yeah, and so you're getting 3 players for 1 basically, and if you do your job, and the Eagles have done their job recently in the first round, you're getting 3 players for 1. So you're trying to money ball it a little bit, and maybe I'm overthinking it. And my usual take is just, find a good player and pay him, but that's a lot. But the good news is I don't think because of what went on last year, I don't think they could get 2 first-round picks for him.
$16 million average market value for Jaylen Carter. It's not happening, folks. All right, John, interesting topic. I mean, I just wanted to bring that up because I'm like, boy, are we missing the tea leaves here? It feels like the last couple years that they've, at least you've heard that floated out. I don't know if we've confirmed 100% that he was or offered to Dallas from Micah. Is that 100% confirmed, John?
From what I was told, yeah, he was in the deal. But that doesn't bother me at all because I know what the Eagles think of Micah Parsons.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah, but it does highlight, I think, that it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, that's what
I think people think about this and they're like, oh, they wouldn't even consider that. And they do. They consider basically everything on everything.
Yeah. Well, that's why I use the business example. It's like, are they for sale? Yeah, everybody. Everybody should. If it's the right off, if it's Mike or Miles, everybody is on the table, basically. Everybody. So, but for Max Crosby, there were some rumors floated about. I don't believe that. Never got that confirmed either way. I don't believe that. But that would be more telling. If I found out that was true, that would be more telling. That they might be looking to move this guy. Or wouldn't be adverse to moving this guy. But I don't think that's true. That one is true.
I don't either. We'll see what they end up doing there. It is interesting, though, John, with where the team is, just from a sense of, I mean, if we just try and play this out a couple years into the future right now, I'm not looking to go 5 years. I'm talking 1-2 years into the future. Carter, DeJean, Mitchell, probably Campbell at some point. He might be 3 years away. Will they pay Makuba? Will that continue to be a revolving door? Edge rusher, are they paying Jalix Hunt? No one's fit either of those guys. What will they do after Grenard? Who knows? Boy, they're going to have to continue to get cheaper on offense. Like when you look at it like that, it almost makes too much sense that AJ's got to be traded. It's like, dude, you can't pay all these guys on defense and keep the contracts on offense. It's just not going to work. No. So I wonder how much it switches from the defense was all on rookie contracts. Well, is the offense about to be all on rookie contract? I mean, Saquon.
I mean, we've been talking about that for a while. That's how he said.
But will it shift? I think will it shift to the level that we think? It feels like it's going to have to.
Well, even defensively, I mean, you almost have to make a decision, between Nolan and Jalix, and you got time. How did they play this year? Maybe it reveals itself, as Nick Sirianni will say. You're not going to sign both. You're not going to sign Morrow if you sign Jalen. You're just not. You are going to sign Cooper and Quignon. You are going to sign. And the good news is if Jihad Campbell turns into a player not good news, just natural inclination. Probably Zach Bond has price, is out from the standpoint of just age, and
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
so that'll probably take care of itself. And then, offensively, obviously, if you're talking about, Dallas isn't going to be here, even though Lane's, at most has got 2 years left, maybe less. Landon, they reworked his deal down a year because they have no idea if he's going to be back next year. And I don't mean, I mean 2027, never mind 2028. AJ's going to be out, obviously. Saquon's likely to be out.
Yeah.
So
that's why I look at that O-line. Like, in theory, even if you rotate those skill position players, which they've already started to do with the drafting of Lemon and Stowers, can they even keep a $20 million center, a $21 million left guard, a $25 million left tackle, a $25 million right tackle? Now, Lane, I think, will deal with itself because he's going to retire. But I wonder if they can even keep the whole O-line intact with the way the defense is going to be paid.
Well, no, I mean, Landon, the real, realistic is maybe another year or two. That's it.
Yeah. You think he'll just walk away himself, right? It won't be like the Eagles.
Probably, yeah. I mean, unless those stem cells worked.
I saw somebody bring up that point of like, this is going to start happening a lot more. These guys are not making $1 million a year anymore. Like, this is life-changing money quick. You're going to start seeing a lot of guys walk away at 27, 28 years old to preserve their body. Like, you see the Chicago center who kind of just did the same thing, Drew Dahlman, and I think you're potentially going to see more of that.
Yeah, that's already started. It happens more often than it used to. And the money's a big part of it. I mean, how much money do you need? Especially
if you're good with finances, you don't need
if you're good with, especially if you're good with finances.
Know how to invest, and you put your money.
Now, I just saw LeBron do an interview where he said he's broke. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think he's actually broke in the smart way, where all his money's invested. So he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody thinks I got $1 billion liquid in the account. That's not how it works.
I don't know. If he gave me that much money, I couldn't spend it if I tried.
Yeah. I probably could. I won't lie to you, I probably could, but you don't need to, that's for sure.
Yeah. But if you're smart with your money, I mean, that's part of my thing with Jalen Hurts and like increasing the shelf life. I'm like, look, I get, when I don't get, because I can't even imagine making that much money, but I would imagine that when you do make that much money, well, you want to make that much money for as long as possible. I get that part of it, but I'm like, if you're making $50 million and $50 million and $50 million, it's like, all right, I'll go enjoy my life. I'm going to make sure I max out my skill set, my legacy, and do the best I can with what I have. That's kind of my mindset from a team perspective and a player perspective. Like, I'm not just hanging around to hang around.
Yeah, right.
Because I look at Russell Wilson every time he steps on the field. Like, early in his career, he's like a no doubt about it Hall of Famer. Now I'm like, there's no way that guy's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know. But everybody's different. You can't project that kind of stuff, and everybody's different.
Yeah, some people would say, I got an opportunity to make $10+ million. I'm not walking away from it. I don't give a shit what happens in my body.
Exactly. So everybody's different.
Yep. Part of it. All right, good stuff. Good defensive segment there on this defense. We will see what happens. There is a lot of guys coming up with getting contracts on the defense. It's going to be very interesting to see how Howie handles it. I said yesterday, got a sense of confidence, though, as an Eagle fan, the fan in me, because Howie's just earned it. I mean, Howie's just manages this shit so well, and he has for the last, really 5 years. So he's earned my confidence, and I will hold true to that with Howie Roseman. Good stuff there. John, flipping over to the offensive side, and the player of the offseason, A.J. Brown. John, is he going to be traded to New England? I'm starting to think New England is a smokescreen. Howie's the one planting the story to Diana Rossini, not Mike Vrabel. And New England's a big fat smokescreen, man.
You know what, Bob? We haven't mentioned Diana in a while.
I know. People wanted us to talk. I guess something else came out yesterday.
I don't want to get bogged down in that. But I will say, to me, the people that most Eagles fans, and rightfully so, he's the best general manager in football, who think Howie Roseman is being manipulated by a Diana Rossini. It's just, you can't have both thoughts. It doesn't correlate. So, no, I do think he's getting traded to New England. I don't think it's smokescreen. I think essentially it's a wink, wink, done deal. And he will be a Patriot after June 1st. So I think that's where we're headed. It's disappointing. I think from the standpoint of, what he meant to the team, and I want to talk him in the past tense because he's still a Philadelphia Eagles, how he said. And look, as long as it's not done, there's a slight door ajar, something happens, whatever. Could be Mike Vrabel having to walk away, and all of a sudden it's like, well, do we really want AJ? Mike likes him. He's walking away. You never say never in this world. I've learned that. But all indications behind the scenes are that this thing is done. I think the Eagles are operating under that mentality, and the Patriots are operating under that mentality.
You mean done with the Patriots or done that he's going to be traded?
I think he's going to be traded to the Patriots, yes.
Damn.
Which I think is great for the Eagles in the standpoint of get the hell out of the NFC. Like, I don't understand these teams with when there was talk about the Rams being interested.
What about like the Chiefs or the Chargers or one of these?
Well, yeah, any team in the AFC. I mean, just get them out of the NFC. I think they're going to accomplish that. But it doesn't matter which AFC team. Just don't be the Cowboys and trade them in the conference to another good organization, or the Vikings who trade, different level of player. But
people are saying the Rams again because they didn't get a receiver in the draft.
Well, the Rams don't trade him to the Rams.
No, yeah, you'll be seeing him in the NFC Championship game, and he'll gash it for one touchdown, and we'll be all pissed the frick off.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, and could the Rams could somebody else come in and give them more? And then you say, the Rams woke up today and offered more. And you go back to the Patriots and say, you want to match it or not? So, not saying never, but everybody in this league is operating with the idea that AJ is going to be in New England. It's just too much to ignore.
I know, but it also sometimes feels like a smokescreen because it's the only team. It's like all of a sudden we've dumbed it down to, well, AJ's going to New England. The trade hasn't broke. Nothing's happened yet.
I don't think people have dumbed it down. They've gotten information, and they're working on the information. I'm not talking about
fans.
You're talking. Forget about me. But Schefter has now gotten on board, and I saw Schefter was on his paid spot with 97.5, and they were trying to get him 7 ways to Sunday. Well, could this happen? Well, and he's like, no, he's going to the Patriots, essentially. I mean, It is what it is. People can believe what they want. I can't.
What is the John McMullen? Is the John McMullen belief right now that the deal is done and they're waiting till June 1? Or is it still?
I believe, well, as they say, because it's illegal, I got in trouble for. It's a different conversation, but it's illegal. So I will say I think the framework of a deal is done. But a deal has not been agreed to.
Gestapo over there. I mean, holy shit. But, well, we'll see what happens with A.J. Brown ultimately. I do think he's as good as gone. When will the deal take place? June 2nd is my prediction. Do you have a prediction, John? Is that your prediction?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the calendar. I mean, when
I
is June
stole that from
2nd?
you, June 2nd. You were like, yeah, they'll wait a day.
Well, they have to wait.
June 2nd is a Tuesday. June 1st is a Monday.
June 2nd. They can't do it June 1st. June 2nd.
June 2nd on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So June 3rd on Wednesday.
I mean, if June 2nd was on a Friday, I'd go, maybe not. Maybe they'll wait till Monday, but yeah. June 2nd would be my prediction.
Well, we'll see if that ends up happening for the Eagles, and they trade away A.J. Brown for what's going to be for a first and a second.
Well, it's going to be a future first. Schefter says 2028. It's probably going to be 2028. And then there'll be something else, I would think, a kicker. But it might be both ways. It might be, draft. One of those draft sort of positioning, maybe you send a third and you get back a fourth, that type of thing. And you're really just going down 15 slots in the draft or something like that.
Right. Well, we'll see what ends up happening with A.J. Brown. All right, here's Jared Hatfield. Big super chat here. Jared, thank you, brother. Appreciate you for checking in. We're on an offensive topics now as we just talked a little bit about the defense, Jaylen Carter, and some of the other guys over there. Jared says this, J-Mac, why can't Jalen run the type of offense that he ran at Oklahoma? Like, why can't he run a loose, versatile offense like he did under Lincoln Riley?
Lincoln Riley. Yeah, well, hey, it's the pros.
I think Lincoln was in Philly the other week.
Howie's a big Lincoln Riley. Always has been big Lincoln Riley fan. Wanted to talk to Lincoln Riley at points of coaching searches and even the Sirianni coaching search. But look, Jalen's better in the spread. He's better in the spread. Always has been, always will be. But can you run that offense consistently in the NFL? Probably not. The Eagles' strength is the running game. So you're taking that off the table. But yeah, if guys are open, sure he can run it. Sure he's comfortable. So tends to be more difficult. The windows are much smaller in the NFL, even at the highest levels of college football. Much smaller. But he's much more comfortable when things are spread. I think I forget.
It's almost impossible to compare to this, though, right? I mean, that was like the Big 12. I mean,
yeah.
Lamb.
Well, that's what I mean. The windows
separation.
You're throwing to a wide open receivers.
Yeah,
it's like. Yeah, and the Eagles have run a lot of spread, and I think they're most successful. And one of the things where I saw somebody put a clip up, and it's like they're running the old Saquon. They start Saquon's in the backfield, and then they just move them the simple motion. They go empty, and it was 3rd and 3 against the Cowboys. Somebody put up this clip, and they run the four hitch routes that everybody loves, just to create the spacing. And then, the interior just moves the one defensive tackle out of the way on a key 3rd and 3, and he runs for the first down. The easiest play ever. Boringest play ever. But, that's the difference between 3rd and 3 when you can do stuff like that versus 3rd and 10, where it's you might even get 7 yards, but you're not getting 10. And then you're punting the football. But yeah, as far as why can't he be in Oklahoma? Well, yeah, bring the Big 12 or whatever it was at the time. Bring that to the NFL.
John, are we too focused on the passing part of this offensive change?
Yeah, I think so. I've said that pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I think it's more about fixing the running game than it is the passing game. I think it's about fixing both, and that's coming from Nick. When we talked to him
fit though with the spread offense, run game. I don't know. I mean, you got to tell me an outside zone run scheme. Do you think the offense fits with that? Do you think Saquon fits? Do you think the offensive linemen fit with that? I mean,
no, that's kind of the back and forth we went with the draft. And will they change their philosophy when it comes to drafting offensive linemen? And the answer was no. Is Saquon a patient enough runner for that scheme? Doesn't look like it. Maybe he can change. He's more of a, I think he's at his best when he's more of a north-south guy than a Le'Veon Bell patient runner. So on paper, no, it doesn't look like a fit to me, but they were better doing it last year when they changed in season. So you do have to add that into, because teams have, were selling out and saying, all right, Saquon's all set to the right. Let's overload. Let's to turn 1st and 10 and the 2nd and 12. Happened too often last year. And that was their adjustment, and they got better. They weren't good enough, but that was the whole mentality of, all right, let's get people who are actually experts at doing this. And that's where Nick gave the quote about the junk in the run game. People talk about 3rd down and all the junk the havoc defensive coordinators, as I call them, throw at the passing game. Well, they also throw it at the run game. And again, 40, I believe the number was 41 negative runs for Saquon Barkley last year. 2nd in the NFL to Ashton Genty. Think about that. Got to fix that.
And if I forced you to divvy up why you think that was, do you think that Saquon, was that the offensive line? Was that the scheme? Was that defensive closing the gap on? Like, how would you explain that type of inefficiency, really?
Well, all of the above, but mainly the offensive line issues, certainly.
More so than you think Saquon might have lost a step.
Well, I know he's part of it. But it's hard when you're getting gang tackled in the backfield. I
mean. Yeah, it is.
But he didn't have as good of a season. He'd be the first to admit that. So it is. And sometimes, it's the part where everybody's running to the GPS and Stoutland said this, Stoutland said that. When you say running plays in the bad, defenses, well, that's where when that 15 seconds ends, and sometimes you don't get the play call in, people can say that. And, if you want to bend over backwards, but bottom line is, if you got to kill from run to pass or vice versa, that's the quarterback on the field. And if you're running into a bad front consistently, you got to put some of that on the quarterback. Peyton Manning ain't running into too many bad fronts. I'll tell you that.
You think Sean Mannion will help with this?
I don't know. Can he get the play call in? Can he get him up at the line of scrimmage with the time to kill from run to pass and pass to run? I don't know. Can Jalen handle it?
And that's one part of it, right? The other part of it is basically Jalen making the right decision. Is that
exactly fair? Can he make the right decision? This is what we're all going to be waiting patiently to see.
Yeah, but it feels like even if it's right there and it smacks us in the face, people will still be in denial about who's at fault.
Probably.
I'm starting to understand why McMullen comes on here raging at they're in the season about people tweeting to him and all sorts of other bullshit.
Probably. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, hey, look, they're going to blame the coaches first. Star. But there will be a group that doesn't like Jalen that will blame him. So, it's usually the combination, and that's, the context gets lost. But most people don't want to blame the players. I would say most fans I'm talking about don't want to blame the players. And most players will tell you it's their fault, by the way.
Oh, AJ said that 10 times last year.
Yeah.
He's still giving Patullo credit nowadays. He did an interview not that long ago. He's like, "Oh, Patullo was great last year." I think AJ is a generational troll. I really do. I mean, he goes on the Patriots podcast. He's winking at him. I'm like, this guy is a troll, and I respect him for it.
It's funny because everybody in that building likes AJ, and everybody in that building likes Kevin. I'm sure there's one or two that there's.
Yeah, like you always say, there's a building full of dudes.
But I mean, they're very popular, like just as people. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that people defend them. And that's, maybe they get too much of a pass, but they're very, very popular. So it never surprises me.
So the offensive line here is a little bit of a concern then with this new schematic change, because the offensive line has been such a big part of the Eagles' success, especially on offense the last decade. And now you're looking at potentially not a great fit. Do you think Mailata and Lane fit? Is that fair to say? I mean, Lane seemed excited about the change. I don't know if that means he's going to be good at it.
Well, I love Lane, but Lane tends to tell you the truth afterwards. Like he's very honest. Like when Chip Kelly left, he's like very honest.
After, right?
Yeah, after. Jordan is more willing to, I would say, admit some issues in the moment, but he's also very cognizant of being a leader and trying to toe the company line. From Lane's standpoint, yeah, I'm sure he's thrilled that he doesn't have to be left on an island as much, especially at this stage of his career. And I'm sure Jordan's happy with it too. Nobody left their tackles more alone than the Philadelphia Eagles, basically because they could. And that's quite the luxury. There's other teams that struggle with a tackle and they have to chip and they have to sometimes, use a tight end and chip on that side. And all of a sudden you're taking a bunch of people out of a route and it just makes it so much more difficult. And the Eagles are like, you throw it at it. These guys are going to hold up. So it was a very, very big luxury for a long time. And this is a defense, an offense, that, the play action, they're going to roll out and they're going to waggle and they're going to do all that kind of stuff. And you're going to get some plays off as a tackle that the Eagles tackles typically never did. So I'm sure he's excited about that. But, I think, BLG said it again yesterday. I agree with him. This is not Eagles-like in the fact that, hey, let's copy everybody else. I mean, so much of this is off Eagles book, off script. Well, we had a difficult year. What's everybody else doing? Well, let's run what Kyle runs. I mean, what?
But doesn't it kind of align with what the owners historically wanted the offense to look like? Maybe it didn't turn out that way, but
I think and that's where I give BLG credit. He's the one who put it in. Not really from he's always wanted an explosive passing offense, but he's always wanted to be the guy leading the charge, the innovator. Whether it's people were talking about analytics earlier.
I just don't think he views 24 as innovative. Successful, yes. Innovative, no.
Well, yeah, but how do you define copying someone? I'm not denying that, but how do you define copying everyone else innovative?
Well, that's definitely not innovative either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So, and that BLG brought that up, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't think of that. It's very un-Eagles like. So if you're doing something else and you're trying to just again morph this weird system you've developed and then get better from an evolution standpoint. I think that would be more Eagles-like. But at the end of the day, he wants a high-octane passing offense. Jeffrey Lurie, my belief. And I believe he's torn because he wants that, but he also loves Jalen Hurts.
And he's seen the success too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he can't leave that part out.
Yeah. But I mean, personal and as a leader of his franchise and his organization, does everything the right way, never gets in trouble off the field. Good role model for the community, all that business side stuff. He loves the guy, maturity, work ethic. So you got all this good, but he's not a high volume passer. So what do you really want, Jeffrey Lurie? When you wake up in the morning, what do you really want? Everybody's got in their head when they're by themselves. What do you really want?
Right. When he's having those conversations with himself, when he wakes up at 4 a.m. or whatever goofy
he's
stuff.
Texting, getting ready to text Howie, and Howie's like, God damn it, can I get some sleep?
What does Jeffrey Lurie really want?
Yeah. So, I don't think you're ever getting a high volume passing offense with Jalen Hurts. And I don't know why
he says can't have it all. I'm with you. Does Jalen Hurts' style of play frustrate me at times? It absolutely does. But I am willing to live with those frustrations for the success that the Eagles have had. I'm just one guy speaking, and I'm a fan, but that would be my perspective.
Well, if you could do blind and start all this in 20, let's say, so 2021, as they're coming off the field in Tampa, and they got destroyed. I mean, destroyed.
The playoff game?
Yeah.
First year, right? Yep.
Yeah, to the point I tell the story all the time. I'm like, that was the second play, but when the second playoff, so I'm conflating things, but I just want to look at Jalen Hurts' statistics real quick. So if I could tell you coming off the field in that Tampa playoff loss, and they weren't even supposed to make the playoffs. And remember, Josh Sweat had that weird sort of, and he was a late scratch, and that was really scary. Sort of, they had to tie up a blood vessel.
Yeah,
it was really scary.
Yeah.
So a lot of things went wrong that day, and they shouldn't have been in playoffs. They just snuck in. Tampa still had Tom Brady at the time. They were much better. And they got waxed, and they should have got waxed. So coming off the field, and I say to you, yeah, but I'm Nostradamus, and they're gonna go to the Super Bowl next year, and Jalen Hurts is gonna win 14 or 15 starts, and that they're gonna make the playoffs, and they're gonna win a Super Bowl every single year. Would you have taken that? Everybody would say, yeah, hell yeah. 2 Super Bowls. We're going to win one. Every Eagles fan in the world would say, hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the only thing you got to pay, the taxes, by the way, the offense is kind of boring and non-aesthetic. Would you take that?
I would take it.
A lot of people evidently don't like it. But what can you do? I mean, it's once expectations change, everything changes. Everything's a shape-shifting, fluid situation. And, well, then the belief kind of grew. You go to the Super Bowl, you outplay Kansas City. Some things went your way. People say they should have won their game. I never say should because, Aaron Cepas doesn't have to punt the ball on the wrong side of the field. They don't have to blow coverages.
Aaron Cepas, yeah.
You don't have to blow coverages. And so I don't agree with that. But they played well. Jalen played phenomenal. That's the best game he's ever played. I still say that.
Oh, he was freaking incredible in that game. 57. That was unbelievable. Yeah.
And, they go back a couple years later and they have one of the most dominating Super Bowl performances of all time. And in between, they have some playoff years, but they lose and the offense isn't great. Still pretty good compared to everybody else. But the expectations change. Well, they're the most talented team. They have the most talented offense. Well, they people. If there's one thing people have to stop saying is they have the most talented offense. They did at one point for a very short time, but they don't have the most talented offense in the NFL. They don't. They might have the most talented defense. They probably don't. Houston probably
Do you
does.
think you would have a different response to that if maybe they were more high volume and they used those weapons a little bit more? Like, I think Dallas Goedert in his career has been severely underutilized. I think Devontae Smith at this point has been underutilized. I think A.J. Brown was underutilized.
I think at the height of their, performance, which was probably 22, they were close to having.
I think people forget 23 too. John, we were week 11 and 23, and Jalen Hurts was leader in the MVP. They were 10-1.
Oh yeah, I mean it was.
I think people look back at 23 and they're like, "Oh, that was a horrible year."
That was for the defense. The defense was terrible.
Yeah, they collapsed late.
Sean Desai, Matt Patricia. Yeah. No, I say it all the time. The offense was Brian Johnson was top 10. But was it the best? No. It's never the best, but it was good. It was good. 22 and 23 was very good. 24, the running game was historic. So the offense was still very good. But for a different reason. 22 and 23, they were far more well-rounded, I would say. And that was the height, in my opinion, of the offense. And the passing game has been pretty bad for 2 consecutive years, which blows people's mind because they won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't good, comparatively speaking. And then you hit hopefully rock bottom last season and maybe start going in a more positive direction. But yeah, it's very talented offense, but I think people lean on, well, they're the highest paid offense, so they're the best offense. Well, they were the highest paid offense. Doesn't automatically mean you're the best offense. Because if that meant, do it the other way. Well, they were the lowest paid defense. Were they the worst defense in the NFL? I mean, why don't people think of it that way? Pull out the Johnny Logic thing. Why don't people think about it that way? They were the lowest paid defense in the NFL. Were they the worst defense?
No, hell no. It's a good way to put it, John, but I just wonder if that talent sometimes goes to waste a little bit with the way they play. And maybe Jeffrey Lurie thinks the same thing, right? I mean, hey, this is why I want to change. I'm paying $60 million to receivers, and we don't throw the ball well. Maybe some of that comes into the thought process. But J Mac, we've already reached the end of the show. It's a good one when I look up and it's 9:59, and I didn't even think it was that late at all. I thought we had another segment to boot in this sucker. We do not. Let me make sure I got all the super chats as I missed some yesterday. I got him. Jared, thanks for the super. Alexander Harris, man, we appreciate you. A big super chat today on a Thursday morning. Another week almost in the books here. Johnny Mac, 10 a.m. this morning. Your final thoughts on a Thursday edition of the show. I thought we hit a lot of good topics today.
Yeah, a lot of good topics. Some Sixers talk as well for good effort, but disappointing loss. Chris Franklin tomorrow. So excited to get Chris back. He was at Devontae Smith's big celebrity softball game, so maybe he can talk about Chris.
Have you heard the latest conspiracy on the softball game?
I have not. I heard Christian Gonzalez coming to the Eagles.
Well, that has to do with that. All right, 4 of 5 years of the Devontae Smith softball game. a new player that was at the game ended up on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I hope this is right. I heard this from somebody. I can't fact check it.
Yeah, I got to fact check this.
But
I don't have
in the 1 year that it didn't happen was last season, and they tried to trade for Michael Parsons, who was a first-time guy at the softball game. So they tried to make it happen. It didn't happen. Now this year you got Christian Gonzalez for the first time at the softball game. Is he your next Philadelphia Eagle? I don't see it. I mean, why? We have two great corner. I don't get this from that.
Where's Rick Woolen playing? Where's so you're gonna have Christian Gonzalez, and you're gonna have Quinyon Mitchell, and you're gonna have Cooper DeJean in the slot, and you're gonna play
Coop to safety and put Rick Woolen on the inside.
Yeah, you're gonna put the 6'4" guy inside.
Right. He's not a slot corner.
Yeah, you would have to put Christian in the slot. Yeah, it ain't happening, people.
All right, that's the conspiracy I hit you with on the way out. Johnny Mac, good show today, my friend. I will catch up with you on a football Friday. Thank you, brother.
All right, sounds good. See you.
All right, thank you, man. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Good show today. A lot of great topics today. I love this graphic. I don't know who made it for John. If you're in the chat and you made it for John, please let me know. I'd love to use it. I might even drop that sucker on a T-shirt. Cut out the bottom, isolate the actual icon, and put that thing on a T-shirt. Put that freaking thing on a T-shirt. I love that Johnny Logic graphic. All right. So we'll see. All right. Afraid I know you don't. Broccoli. Dumbass. Broccoli, you're getting stupider by the day, dude. Broccoli, you got to wake up and smell the roses. Wake up and smell the coffee. Maybe you need to switch over to Dunkin'. Maybe that's your problem. You drink this beta loser-ass coffee. Doesn't do a damn thing. All right? Mine says, give the credit. I would be happy to give a percentage. You know how much money I make on merchandise? A band mine? I make about 60 cents a purchase. I make about 60 cents a purchase. All right. The Embiid era is over. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Okay, I think I need to make a coffee brand. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll reinvent Two Horns. I showed you guys Two Horns not that long ago. All right, maybe I'll reinvent it. Maybe I'll reinvent that sucker. I look like I need a cup of coffee right now. You know why? I told you guys. Now I'm up all night researching Factory 5 building. Now I'm up all night researching building a Factory 5 Cobra 427 big block. Are you kidding me? That thing sounds too much fun. I'm looking at my computer. I'm on my computer last night till 1 a.m. I look up. I'm like, holy shit, it's 1 a.m. I got to get up in 5 hours. Let me get to bed. That's kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. All right. Yeah, I did. Broccoli, he's still over there in the corner. All right. He really does. He says it every day. Jason, it's all a front, my guy. It's all a front. All right. There's Izzy Bay. What up, Izzy Bay? Good to see you in here. Izzy Bay, what was that? What was that tool brand you were telling me? I forgot the name of it. Is it Grip Edge? Is that what it is? Let me look that up. I meant to reach out to you to ask that. Yeah, Grip Edge. That's it. That's it. I just remembered as I asked you that. You can do it. Believe me, Jerry, I use it all damn day. Yeah, Grip Edge. Thanks, Izzy. They look like a sick brand. I was reading about them too. They're like super well regarded in that industry too. Dad said, I drank this damn C4. I'm about to gnaw on my steering. Dude, you what? Like the canned energy drink, or did you put the old school scoop? When I was in college and I used to work out all the time, believe it or not, I was fucking busky. I used to do 2 scoops of that of the C4. You get the fucking tingles all through your body with that crap, man. You get the tingles all through your body. Yeah, Snap-on's a little overrated, man. You know, they got the trucks. It's like a whole, spiel now. I don't know if they're as good as they once were. Maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel the need to break the bank with all Snap-on. You know, I got some good Milwaukee stuff I like. I like the grip. The grip edge is more like it's not like they don't make like everything. You know, it's not like a Snap-on or Milwaukee or something. So, Krause coffee sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, I like it. All right. Malian says he's rent-free in Dizzy Daz's tiny little mind. Daz, you better clap back on this fool. Every penny counts. See, Deshay, you're telling me. I'm aware of this, my friend. I am aware of this. Okay? We used to do C4 prereq. Oh, and vodka. Jeez. Yeesh. Milwaukee over DeWalt. Yeah, I'm with you. That's a good move, Rasputin. Masters shirt. Yeah, my brother picked me up this last year at the Masters. I think it's got something on the back. Yeah. My brother got me this sucker. I tell you, he got me this in the hat. In the damn hat. The Amen corner lid. There you go. Here's my Masters merch my brother got me. The Masters merch. How was my travel to AZ? It was great, man. Freaking awesome, Tony. I got some meta video. I used my meta glasses to take some video. I don't know how good they came out, but goofy ass glasses, but they take good video, so we'll see. I got to look through the footage. Tony, I did win the driving thing. Yeah, obviously. I mean, your boy did win the driving thing. So I got first in the group in the driving thing. That's what that cone is. You guys like my little cone? My addition to the back? My fire little Radford Racing School cone? Freaking thing is fire. All right, Deshay, relax, guy. Relax, guy. Have a whole yeah. I got to turn that thing into a shirt. Come on, guys, this is fire. You don't even Broccoli wants one of these. Broccoli wants one of these on his shirt. I know it. Think about it. You got to take you got to do the background remove. You got to isolate just the logo part. So get rid of the white background and the green background. Get rid of the Birds 365 JAKIB Sports at the bottom, and put the Johnny Logic logo on the shirt. The question is, does it go on the front of the shirt, or does it go on the back of the shirt with the JAKIB logo? Put the Johnny Logic here, maybe with the JAKIB on the sleeve. One of the guys in the chat, he works for a merch company. Oh, he just emailed me back. He just emailed me back. Zane, I don't know what his name is in the chat, but so you need that as an emoji. How do I got to do that? I got to update some of those emojis. I got to update some of those suckers. You want the white long sleeves back? Yeah, I got to get this. I got to get the merch re-upped. I ordered my girl Bird Gang Girl a shirt because she was going to get one and she was asking me, and they back ordered it. So I might have to look for a new. Maybe I'll use this brand of the guy who's a fan of JAKIB. Yeah, Bird Gang. I ordered your shirt and they back ordered it, but it should be coming. They didn't say like canceled the order. They just said we need an extra week. I'm like, the fuck, it's a t-shirt. I mean, what the fuck's going on here? I don't know. You let like something slip for like 60 days and it's cooked. Weird how it works. You want a crying Silverman? Yeah, text me, Tony. Tony, you know I'm interested in that, right? You know I'll take all the text, brother. Tony, shoot me the text if you got somebody. I got the guy in the chat. I thought it was Drozone. It might be Drozone. It's you. Oh, there he is. He says it's me. There we go. Dro, I thought it was you. I wasn't sure, though. I wasn't sure. I thought it was you, though. My boy Zane. You're now Zane to me because that's what the email showed up as. The Dro Zone is Zane. There he is. Yeppa. Yeppa with the lemon. Mr. Ryan says, McMullen is obsessed with keeping the offense ass. It's like telling your kid you passed your test. No, it's not. It's like trying to put a 5-foot dude in the NBA. You know, you're Mr. Ryan. Hey, your son is 5'2". He wants to be a center in the NBA. What are you gonna do? You're gonna spend the money to put him at AAU to try and get him a scholarship as a center? Or are you gonna say, all right, little Timmy, you're 5'2", and an NBA center is probably not the right career path. Maybe we ought to pursue something a little different here. Little Timmy. I don't know, Mr. Ryan. You tell me. 5'2" little Timmy's going to the NBA. I don't know about that. Mr. Ryan. Freaking dude. Dad, I think I can get there. I don't know, Tim. I don't know, Timbo. Let's maybe take up piano. What do you think? Maybe take a piano. You know, maybe we'll play the clarinet. You know, we'll take music classes. Maybe we'll get you a good scholarship. Go to the business school. You know, maybe go to the local college. Go to get a good business degree. You know, maybe learn some about entrepreneurship. Maybe a little bit of there. All right. Center, I don't think it's for you. You know, I don't know, Mr. Ryan. Maybe Mr. Ryan sees it differently. All right. Get your son some coding class. No, just use AI for that. Little Timmy. You guys like little Timmy? There you go. Little Timbo. Sorry if one of you guys has a son named Timmy. You know, little Timbo Slice. My chat GPT is still trying to process. Hogan, what's up with you, like, infatuated with the way Makai Lemon speaks? Who the hell gives a shit with the way he speaks? Can the dude play ball? I mean, yeah, Hogan's going to be, you know, he's about to be under the gun for surgery. And he's like, hey, did you see Makai Lemon? The surgeon's like, dude, I'm a surgeon. I don't give a shit. I mean, don't you want your surgeon to be good at surgery? I want my wide receiver, first-round draft pick, to be a damn good receiver. I don't give a rat's ass what he sounds like or talks like. I kind of like that. Makai Lemon's got that. He's got that demon in him. You can see it. I've seen some people say that on social. Bama has $1 million band, Timmy. There you go. There you go, brother. Hey, Timbo. The trumpet. The clarinet, maybe the piano, you know. Yeah, come on, man. So you think keeping the I don't know, Ryan. I just don't know that the answer is trying to put the 5'2" dude in the NBA. Maybe we can disagree whether it should be the clarinet or the piano. But one thing we both agree on is the center in the NBA ain't happening. All right? The center in the NBA ain't happening. We might have different avenues or different thought processes, but I think that's what J-Mac would tell you. Thoughts on the Eagles' 7th easiest schedule? Who gives a shit about that? It's like the stupidest stat in the world. There's like a marginal difference between the top schedule and the bottom schedule. It's the NFL, dude. You can lose every week and you can win every week. All right? I'm not going to, the Eagles have an easy schedule, so let me. Bullshit. They're playing NFL teams, aren't they? Well, good. You can lose any week. You can lose any week. And you can win any week. Go out there and handle your business. Crying about scheduling. Crying about percentage of the schedule, the challenge of the schedule. I don't care about that. I don't care about that at all. Also, Eagles won the East last year. Shouldn't they have a tough schedule? Tough. It is no, yeah, I agree, Fanatic. There's no doubt. There's no, who knows? Who knows? Sean Mannion could be a pile of peanuts and, the team stinks. Who knows? Maybe he's great. Maybe he's the next coming. I want kids. I want a lot of kids. Morty says, Zander, it sounded like you guys had a blast out here in Scottsdale. I guaranteed it beforehand. Did it deliver? Hell yeah, it did. It was a lot of fun, Morty. It was a lot of fun. You know what I was using? You know what I used out in Scottsdale, Morty? I assume you see them all around if you live there. I used Waymo. So have any of you guys ever seen this Waymo? I literally got to look at the future. All right. I've never enjoyed a service more in my life than Waymo. All right. I will if I am in a location that has Waymo, I will never call an Uber. I will never call a Lyft. I will never use one of those goofy companies again. I will be using Waymo. No. Sig. If you haven't used it, don't be hating on it. It actually feels like you pay for a service. You fucking call this thing. It was cheaper than Uber almost every single time. The car comes right to you. It's a nice Jaguar with leather seats. You control the climate. You control the music. You control everything. It takes you right to your destination. It's freaking fire. Instead of, it feels, yeah, exactly. No morons I got to talk to. I mean, it was absolutely fire. I freaking loved Waymo. I loved Waymo. So you're telling me I don't need a schmuck to talk to me. It doesn't feel like I'm paying some dude to take me for a ride in his 2002, beaten down Honda Pilot. It was fire. It was fire. Chuck says they're a nightmare. They're not a nightmare. I'm telling you, if everybody was using Waymo in Scottsdale, the accidents would significantly decrease. It's all the idiot humans that don't know how to drive. Z talks for a living, but I don't, Big Mike. Big Mike, I talk too much, dude. I get off here and I'm like, I'm done talking. All right. The chat will never come. No, they will not, Morty. I'm happy that you like it too. All right. I enjoyed it big time. So, Morty, when we got there, my brother owns a business in New York. So he travels a lot to California, San Francisco, LA, really all over the world. He's traveled. He went to Dubai. He went to a bunch of different places. He's traveling a bunch. But so when we got there, he didn't know Waymo was in Scottsdale. He's used it. He used it a bunch in California, and he was blown away by it the same way I was. So we got there, and we had ordered an Uber to pick us up from the airport. And we walked outside to where the Uber was going to pick us up, and there was the little sign that said Waymo. And my brother was like, no fucking way. I'm canceling the Uber. So he canceled the Uber immediately, and he ordered a Waymo. And I'm like, really? Did you really want to spend, $5 to cancel the Uber? Could we have taken Waymo another time? And he's like, no, you got to see Waymo. You got to see Waymo. And boom. Look, this is me in the back of the Waymo. No driver. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Phoenix Sky International. There's me in the back. Look, there's a little screen right in front of you. You can pick your climate, pick your music. It automatically loaded in my YouTube music, all my playlist. I'm like, this is free. It pulled up and it had ZK on the top. It had ZK flashing on the top. I'm like, now this is paying for a service. You pay for a ride. It's like you feel like nobody wants to spend $18, to have some dude drive you 8 minutes across town. But when a car shows up dedicated to take you, it's got your name on the top, you customize. I mean, it was fire. It was fire. If you're an Uber driver, you might want to start looking at some other options. All right. It is self-driving. Yes, a Hundo P. You got a good plug for merch. I don't, but look up, reach out to Drozone in the chat. He works at company 4 Imprint. It's called. He can help you out. Yeah, there was a lot there, and it was much cheaper than Uber. See, Bird Gang says, F that, I don't trust that. So, Bird Gang, you trust the schmuck who you have no idea what they do, where they came from, how they learn to drive, what their accident history is, in a 2004 beaten down Honda Pilot that's charging you $22 to go 8 minutes, and they want a $5 tip. You trust that, who probably have a significantly higher accident rate than the robots, but you don't want to trust the robots who are trained on data. There was, Bird Gang, let me tell you something. There was not even 1% anxiety when I was in my Waymo. In fact, my only angst was from all of the idiot Uber drivers who drive like hooligans and don't know how to drive, and they might smash into you. This thing was this Waymo was so smart. I'm with Morty. The chat will never understand. Until you do it, I promise you, Bird Gang girl, I wouldn't lead you the wrong way. I would not lead you wrong. Waymo was savage. Look at Twist. Leaving your cut life in some AI heads. Twist, go milk your goat or whatever the hell you do. You know? You goofy ass. You sound like a boomer already, Twiz. I don't even think you are a boomer. I saw a clip on that, why everybody hates boomers or why young people hate boomers. I'm like, I don't hate boomers. I think boomers are smart. They get the highest, I guess because they got the highest concentration of wealth in the country. And I'm like, yeah, maybe we ought to learn something from the boomers. You know, maybe we ought to learn something from the boomers. Although life has gotten quite a bit expensive here. I want to try. Yeah, Big Mike, I'm telling you right now, it was worth it. A freaking Waymo. Waymo was fire. I think that's who it was. It was a Fuentes clip. I saw that. Yeah. That's who it was. He was talking about the boomers. It was a good point by him. Everybody hates him because they got all the money. I don't hate him. In Denver, Waymo is great. Oh, you got him in Denver? Hell yeah. And I love the name, too. I kept saying, Waymo. Anybody order the Waymo? I Waymo'd everywhere. I was Waymoing around Scottsdale like it was my job. I won't tell you what I got. Yeah. Vitality, do me a favor. Don't make yourself the victim. Just keep fucking grinding. And I don't think they're wealth hoarding. They bought a home. They're not entitled. They're not required to sell that so that everybody else can eat. Tony, I just saw your email. Thank you, dude. This is objectively not even true, Brandon. It's not even true. Me and Brandon are going to starkly disagree. Hey, man, if a boomer worked his ass off and made all the right decisions, then you just sound like a sour grapes type of person. If they have what I've always viewed life as there's an abundance. If some person has something, I've never once viewed it in my life as that means I don't get it. If you have this, it means I can't have this. I don't think that's a good, healthy way to live life. I think there's plenty of abundance in the world. I think you can eat and I can eat. I think if you work hard and you do what you need to do to become successful, you will achieve it if you make the right decisions and you do the right things along the way. Don't if you want to whine about Waymo or about boomers, I'm not the guy to whine to. I'm not the guy to whine to. I'm sure you'll find somebody that you can whine with, but I wouldn't be that person. I wouldn't be that person. And there's Brandon. Brandon, come on, bro. Brandon, I love you, brother. You know I do. To sit here and say there's less opportunity right now, there has never in the history of humanity been more opportunity at the fingertips of everybody than there has been in all of the history of the world. There has never been more opportunity than right now. There's never been more opportunity. The minute you start telling yourself, I'm a victim, you are going to stop seeing so much opportunity in front of you. You're not. Come on, Brandon. Come on, Brandon. This is the land of opportunity. It still is. Well, Jason, if you're fucking lazy, then you don't deserve handouts and you don't deserve what other people got. Tons of opportunity in the world. This is less about who's right and who's wrong and more about the mentality with which you approach life. Okay? If you have the mindset and you wake up every day feeling like the world is out to get you and you can't do it because someone else has wealth or some boomer up the street owns a nice house they bought 35 years ago. If you wake up with that mentality, you are doomed to fail. You're doomed to fail. It's less about whether I'm right or I'm wrong and more about the mindset you employ every day to put yourself in a position to be successful. Come on. I know you got it in you. We got a lot of smart people in this chat. Brandon, you being one of them. You being one of them. It's like me when I put my contacts in. Wow, I can read again. I can see what's on my wall. Put those contacts in and look for opportunities. You'll be pleasantly surprised by how much surrounds you. You know, all you guys spend your time talking about the Eagles every day. Can I say something to you all? What's stopping you from starting your own YouTube channel and talking about the Eagles every day? YouTube pays. YouTube pays well. My 3,000 subscriber ZK's Garage channel is already paying for the Corvette that I use to make content. That's just one small thing. Roll camera and post it. Nobody's stopping you. You're stopping yourself because you're in your head thinking that the boomers are stopping you from reaching your potential. They're not. Brandon, I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is, with the right mindset, you can get more out of it, out of life, more out of your potential, more out of the land of opportunity that's right here in front of us. You should be jumping out of bed every day because you're so excited to wake the fuck up and achieve what's out there. That's how I feel. And let me tell you, I don't say this to toot my own horn, but I went 4 years investing every fucking plug nickel that came into my account. So much so to the point that I took on a boatload of credit card debt. That's not good debt, folks. That's not good business debt. Every dollar I earned from JAKIB specifically was spent or put back into the business. 4 years, I didn't make a plug nickel. I couldn't move out of my family's house. I couldn't move out. I'm a grown man. I couldn't move out. because every dollar went back into the business. You also have to be willing to go through the shit. You can't just wake up one day and expect it's all going to fucking be good. You got to be willing to work your balls off. You got to be willing to sacrifice. You got to be willing to do what it takes, or else, cry into the void. I can't help you. I can't help you. Maybe Secunda can. Maybe Secunda can. Secunda, can you help him? Can you help him? Hell yeah, be a plumber. That's great. Z, I'm a night owl, Big Mike. I get up every day, 6:30. I just sacrifice on sleep. I guess one day I'll have to stop doing that, but right now, I'm good. Keith, that's all I need, man. That's all I need. I'm good. I'm good. All right, I love all you guys. Good show today. I thought Johnny Mac and I had some great freaking topics today. Talked about a lot of good stuff. Offense, defense, coaching, Jalen, running game, all sorts of different things happening. It's an interesting time of the offseason because it just feels to me like there is so many questions that don't have definitive answers, if that makes sense. Are they going to change the offense or are they not? Is the running game going to work or is it not? Are they going to be a run team still or are they not? Are they going to trade away AJ or are they not? Are they going to use Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers over the middle of the field or are they not? There is so many. Will Sean Mannion be good or will he be a stiff? Who knows? Will Jalen Hurts have a bigger year this year? Will he come back and bounce back and have a good year? Will he return to potential top 10 performance that might put him in the MVP conversation again? Who knows? There is everything out in front of us. It could go good. It could go bad. It could go haywire. It could go sideways. It could go up. It could go down. It could go left. It could go right. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what's coming for the Birds. I think the Birds are still in a good spot, though. I do not hold the doomer mentality. I think some people do with the Eagles team. I understand the offense has been ugly at times. I understand at times it feels easy to say, yeah, we're closer to resetting this thing. But they got a great team. They got a great defense. They have a quarterback and a coach who have combined to win a load of football games in both the regular season and the postseason. Whatever you think of Nick Sirianni, whatever you think of Jalen Hurts, that goes for me included. Those two guys have a track record of success together. They have the best general manager in all of pro sports in Howie Roseman. They got an owner that's willing to spend the money. I mean, it's not as bad as maybe a talk show makes it sound sometimes. I got a little secret for you guys. If I make a video, the 5 reasons the Eagles will be successful in 2026, it'll get 25% of the views that if I make a video, 5 reasons the Eagles will suck ass in 2026. So sometimes the nature of what we do, whether you like it or don't, we have to get views to get paid. I got to get views to pay John. I got to get views to pay Cilio. I got to get views to pay my editor. I got to get views to pay for my softwares. I got to get views. Sometimes the natural business cycle leads us to talk about the things that aren't perfect more than talk about the things that are good. But if you do look at the things that are good, there is an abundance of them. Kind of goes hand in hand with what we just talked about with the land of opportunity. If you look for all the shit, you're going to smell the shit, see the shit, and taste the shit. If you look for all the opportunity, you're going to smell that, see that, feel that, and embrace that. Similar here with the Eagles. A lot of good. Still a lot of good in Philly. And it feels like, again, a team that can be competing for a Super Bowl. Do they have to make the right decisions, the right moves, and the right, perform the right way? Absolutely. Absolutely they do. But I wouldn't buy into any of the doomer. All right, I just told you stop hating the boomers. Well, don't be a doomer on the Eagles. All right, the 2 words of the day: boomer and doomer. All right, and Waymo. Don't forget Waymo. Hey, call the Waymo. I'm a freaking Waymo truther. All right. I want to buy a car wash, Dad. I'll buy one with you. I'm a doomer on Jalen evolving. That's fair, but Curtis, when they won the Super Bowl in 2024, was Jalen Hurts an elite player that year? You know, the team can be successful. It doesn't all come down to if Jalen doesn't evolve, we're cooked. Vulnerable says, I'll say to your point, there's not enough new people coming into the trades. I think the trades are one of the best things to do right now. I really do. I mean, if you look at the way the world is evolving with the tech advancements and things of this nature, what are the truly the things that will not go away? What will not go away? People are still going to live in houses. I don't give a shit what AI is capable of. You got to still live. You need a roof over your head. You need food to eat, which means you're going to need plumbing. It means you're going to need contractors. You're going to need roofers. You know, there are things out there that are not going anywhere and are becoming even a more and more a bit. You know, I have a dream. You know what I dream of one day? Of selling the sports business, buying a company like that, an HVAC company, a plumbing company, something like that, and running that type of business. I think I would a landscaping company. I think I would love that. Now, I can't do that right now. I'm not in that position in my life, in my career. But again, to your point, there's a lot of opportunity out there. But you're right. More people should go into that, man. It's a great place to go. It's a great place to go. All right, guys. I love all you. Hit that like button. See you next time, everybody.
EAGLES. Eagles.